Yeah, turn that up a little bit.
Well, I got to turn on this. It's fine.
But yeah,
Let's
that's
get
good. Maybe a little more.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
It's the background. This will work. It's like a ring light.
What's up, everyone?
Test. Welcome in.
Test. I think we are officially live here in our first YouTube live stream. If you do join on in, let us know if you can hear us or have if you're having we're having any technical difficulties on that. This is our first time doing this. We were a little bit worried because we were getting like notifications that we couldn't go live and all that on YouTube. So looks like we're good right now. Let us know if you can or cannot hear us. And, we'll get started here in just a few moments. We were just on live on Instagram, just plugging this. Just to reiterate, we're going to go through a lot of stuff here today. We're about, we're 22 games in the season, so almost a quarter of the way, more than a quarter of the way, through the season here. And a lot of stuff to talk about with your Philadelphia 76ers here. And a lot of questions that we got too on our Instagram that we'll go through today. Any comments we get in the chat, all that kind of stuff too. We'll certainly, go through here. And yeah, we got to test there. We can see the chat up there, which is great and everything. What's up, Jack?
Appreciate it, Jack.
Just joining. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up, Jack? Appreciate all the support there. Like I said, we'll go through all the questions that I know you asked some, Jack, and some other people asked some questions in our Instagram that we'll go through on this, in addition to just other topics pertaining to the Sixers here. This is a weird season, to say the least, right now, especially from what we've been used to the last few seasons with the Sixers, after the post-process years. This is not our standard right now.
No.
In terms of the record and where they stand and everything like that, and especially expectations too coming to the season after acquiring Paul George and adding him to, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey here. So we'll go through a few things here. First, shout out to all of our subscribers too. I know a lot of you don't have like the same Instagram handle as you do on YouTube. And I know a lot of you are coming from our Instagram too for this YouTube. So we'll certainly figure out a way to like shout you guys out too, whether it's like on one of our future YouTube lives or like on our Instagram, for example.
Yeah.
With that, do we want to jump right into it?
Yeah. Let's start with a little. I think we should do a little Q&A. Maybe get a question going here from Jack, who's already in the chat. Jack put a couple in there on the Mania question, which we had on our story, which is great. Appreciate the input there. I want to start with just a broad topic, more so that we can just dive right into, because it's been an issue, and this is just overall just a big theme here with the Sixers. But I mean, the main question here, of course, their rocky start, 7-15. What Jack asked, what do you think has to change or remain the same for the Sixers going forward to really fix, what they have going so far? So I mean, honestly, Jack, great question. It's very general, but I kind of like that. What has to change, number one, I think, is coaching. I mean, you look at what's happened with this team recently. The coaching has been horrendous. I think it's a mix of coaching, but it's also a mix of health, which one thing you can change, and that's your, that's your coaching style. Health is, relying on luck. You have to get lucky sometimes. Sure, you can train and get in shape, and Embiid lost 25 pounds going into the season, right? That was a big piece. Hey, he lost weight. He's in better shape. There was a lot of question marks surrounding that. And once again, he missed 3-4 weeks. I know he played a few games a couple weeks ago. Now he's, back for now. We'll see. But it all comes down to health. I mean, I unfortunately could not fully focus on the Bulls game happening yesterday, but I know Embiid had a great second half. He bounced back from an 0-6 start from the field. These are the things that you look for in a team that struggled so far, but health is the key. I mean, if this team is healthy, I said it before the season started, before they had their horrendous start, which they're off to. They are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I stand by that. They have the talent. The problem is you're seeing role players get starter to superstar minutes because of the injuries that are happening. So Yabusele, who is a good player, on a minimum, he's actually a phenomenal player for the value that he is. The problem is playing 35 minutes a night. You just can't do that. So health and coaching has to improve for this team. And there's luck involved with both of those. So we'll see.
Yeah. And one of the positive notes too from yesterday's game is and Embiid looked pretty good. and he was moving around pretty well. Didn't look like the knee was hindering him too much, and he's the vital role, right? Like he, as much as people may have forgotten, he was an MVP not very long ago, and he's still a very very good player. So missing him, he's only played 5 games now.
That's it.
Yeah, 5 games on the season. Yesterday was his 5th game of the season. Like I said, 22 games. So that's less than a quarter of the games he has played in so far. And a lot of those games he didn't look 100%. And I'm not saying he's 100% now, but he looked good yesterday. Got off to a slow start, 0 for 6 to start, but ended up finishing that game very efficiently and everything like that. So yeah, and that's not even to mention Tyrese Maxey, who's played 16 games. He's missed 6 games. Paul George has only played 12 games, so he's missed 10 games too. So your 3 best pieces, a lot of money going there too. A lot of money going to those 3 guys. Your 3 best players have all missed a lot of games. So yes, coaching, like Justin said, coaching is very much an issue. And the play style and the game plan and all that kind of stuff, and guys need to hit their open shots, certainly.
Right.
But it certainly also does not help when your best players and your best player has missed a majority of the season so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, Jack brings up another great question, which we'll just build off of because they kind of go hand in hand. But in terms of the coaching, do you agree that Paul George and Joel Embiid get subbed out of the game a little too quickly? And I mean, to that I say the unfortunate part with this season, at least the way it started, everyone when they come back from injury, and this happens all across the NBA. This is just a Sixers thing where, hey, you're on a minute restriction, whatever it might be. That's a very common thing. So Paul George coming back from that second hyperextension, he had limited minutes. It's just how it goes, unfortunately. So he can't play as much, and he's on a restriction. So they have to pull him out a little bit more. Embiid, I feel like Embiid's always ramping up, right? We kind of get that tweet, once a month. Hey, Embiid's ramping up his workouts, whatever it might be, his 5-on-5 drills, all that sort of stuff, in preparation for actual gameplay. So, hopefully with time, I think Nick Nurse will start to adjust. I don't think coaching is the main culprit here. Once again, it gets exaggerated because of the lack of talent physically on the court due to the injuries. So that's where the core is. It always starts with injuries, but no, I think the Sixers can bounce back. We saw a good game yesterday, finally a solid win. Maxey with a triple-double. They have the potential to be a very good team at their peak. Will they end up being a 1 or 2 or 3 seed? No, just because they dug this into a hole. Will they make the playoffs? Yes, because 10 teams in the East make it essentially. So yes.
Yeah, thank you, Adam Silver.
Yeah. I think they'll end up being a 7 or 8 seed. I honestly do. I think they might get to that range. They could even be the 6 seed and avoid the play. They really could. If you look at the Eastern Conference, it's not that great. We know the great teams in there, the Celtics and the Knicks are a good comp, and the Pacers have their squad there. There's some other teams playing well right now that are hot, but it's a long season. I mean, you can be hot in January and change your season around. I mean, look at the Bucks. They started 2-10. And they won like 9 straight, or they went like 9-2.
12 and 11 right now. They are actually the 6th seed right now.
That's what I mean.
500 and 1 game above 500.
But you go back 2 weeks ago. The Bucks season was over. So this is how quickly it can change the NBA. It's a long season. It's a marathon. But I like the Sixers' chances, man. I really do. It all comes down to health. Jack, last question for you. I see here. I just might as well hit all 3 that you have in there. Are there any are there any players that Daryl Morey should drop? So, AKA, waive or trade to improve the roster? So, that's a really good question. It's almost too soon to say. I think there's a couple guys you can keep your eye on to be, possible bait at the trade deadline, and that's KJ Martin. He's one of those guys just has a very decent contract and is a tradable salary that is really part of the reason they gave him that money to start with. Because he's making more than a couple guys on the team that, honestly, KJ has showed out this year. He's been given a lot of minutes, more than he's ever played. He had his first 20-point game in a Sixers uniform. So KJ's been solid, but he's a possible trade piece. I don't know who they're going to go after. Maybe a stretch 4 or a better backup big, or maybe a guard. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of question marks there with what they need. There's a couple spots. I mean, we always talk about the stretch 4, but who knows?
Yeah, and they gave KJ Martin too a little bit bigger of a contract too, so that they can package him with, let's say, a Jared McCain, for example,
Right.
or someone else that has a little bit more value outside of just Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid, that can get you a guy that can, hopefully help you win, now or next season. Like, we've mentioned it many times before, like the window isn't 10 years. The window is, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 years, for the Sixers to win here. And it's going to be tough. You have, teams like the Boston Celtics right now at their peak, and some other, the Milwaukee Bucks, like Justin said, they're struggling right now in the regular season, but they are still a very good team. And it'd be tough to take down come playoff time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, actually, funny enough, Jack, I know you asked that question. Patrick Leakey also asked, I didn't even see this one, about KJ. At this point, do we consider KJ Martin as more than just a trade option? I think that's a great question. I don't know.
Same goes for Jared McCain. Both those guys.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's tough. It's one of those things where like you kind of have to weigh the options there. McCain is more of a long-term piece. I could also see them moving on from him though. And if they do, they should at least get some valuable piece back in return. KJ Martin, although some people are high on him, I think he's a solid player. He's disposable. McCain's different. McCain's a different tier.
Yes, McCain is very much a different tier. He's a guy he's already gotten connections and to, hey, he's playing like Maxey, right? Like right out the gate. I would say he's playing better in his rookie season than Maxey did.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy. But he seems like a guy works hard, got really good energy and work ethic that he could certainly have a similar jump to what Maxey had in his second season. And then even like let's say last year we won most improved player, could certainly have like a similar jump to that. So if you're going to trade McCain, you got better make sure that you're going to get someone that is either going to have a few more years left in the tank and good, or like a really great player that may retire in the next few years. Like you're not just trading him for, I don't know why, I mean, Malik Beasley came the first to mind, but like, a guy like that who's like 34, 35 and, good player, would help the team with the shooting a lot,
right.
But not a guy that's going to play for the next 5-10 years, which McCain will give you that.
Yeah. McCain's skill set, just what he came into the league as, is much greater and harder to find than a KJ Martin. KJ Martin, I'm not bashing him. I think he's played excellent with the minutes that he's got so far, and you can clearly see some improvement. But the shot is not there, and I don't know if it ever will be. Just some of those guys never learn and just never become good shooters because they rely on athleticism. We've seen it all the time in the NBA, and he might be this type of player, which is fine. He is maybe a decent end of the bench role guy. I don't know if he's ever a winning role player on a championship caliber team. Now, Jared McCain, assuming we make the playoffs, he is going to be, let's assume full health. He's a guy, if he's on the team here and we make any crazy trades with him, Jared McCain is a guy that will contribute and play valuable minutes off the bench or even starting, depending on what the roster looks like still, in the playoffs. KJ Martin, I can't say the same. If they're down injuries, then KJ's getting minutes. And if KJ's getting minutes,
you're not going 9 or 10 deep. Maybe 9, but but a lot of times you're going to have an 8-man rotation. And I don't know if KJ Martin's going to be in that, but that's all part of the regular season and figuring that kind of stuff out. What works, what doesn't work. One thing I'd really like is to see more. And I know it's not possible because Embiid and Paul George and Max have been out a lot.
Right.
But I want to see more minutes where McCain, Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid all start. Wherever that fifth guy is, maybe it's Yabusele, maybe it's Caleb Martin, maybe it's Oubre, whoever that fifth guy is, whatever. But I want to see some minutes with that, whether they're starting, whether they're in certain rotations like that. I want to see more of that because I really do think that gives us our best chance offensively. I want to see them in the regular season. Okay, are we screwed defensively if we have McCain, Maxey, Embiid, PG out there? Which, in my opinion, I don't think so because Embiid and Paul George will make up for it. A lot of that.
Right.
Like just yesterday, McCain came off the bench. Yabusele started, and same thing with Oubre. But I want to see that mix up a little bit more. I will say, however, Yabusele, I do like him playing with Embiid, getting the same minutes with Embiid. B cannot rebound like he used to, can't jump like he used to, and nor can he box out like he used to. Can't be as physical as he used to. So like Yabusele, he can do that, all of that, big body. He can get those rebounds, and he can stretch. He's shown this year, not that I like that him shooting 4 or 5 threes a game, but he can stretch the floor if he needs to, and B can also stretch the floor too. So I do like a lot of that, and I do want to see more of that too. What's up, NSU Gaming? What's good? Been following you on Insta since my senior year, 22. Had to come show some love. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you, man, or woman. That runs that account. 2 years, yeah. Hey, we've been doing this since 2016. We've been doing this over 8 years. We had our 8-year anniversary last month in November.
Yeah,
which is crazy. It's gotten to this point. We just reached 30,000 followers. Just the other week, like we reached 30,000. It's crazy how far this has come, and now we're testing out YouTube. So I appreciate all the love there. With that, we'll certainly be doing more of these. We're not done yet today, but we'll certainly do a bunch more of these, and we're testing out YouTube. And I know this is very basic right now. Like we want to get like stuff on the screen and banners and stuff flying around and emojis and all that stuff. Like we'll probably test out other stuff like StreamYard and some of these other platforms that like make this look a lot cooler outside of just seeing our two ugly faces on the screen.
Yep.
But hey,
we'll get more going soon.
Hey, this is our first stream though. Yeah. We're just happy this damn thing started. Like we were like we were checking this out like 10 minutes before, because you have to, if anyone hasn't like started a YouTube channel, which we're learning all this like as we go. Like you have to like verify your account up to 24 hours before you can go live. Like we wanted to go live actually before or during the game on Friday for the Sixers. We made this like midday Friday, but you had to give it 24 hours to verify. So we weren't able to do that. And then we came on here and like we scheduled this out beforehand and popped in here 10 minutes before, and it was saying like we need some software and all this gear. We tried downloading this application called Prism and all of that, which wasn't successful. But hey, we're here now. It works. We're fine. We thought we needed like some extra crazy software to get on here. But yes, this is very basic. We'll make it better. But really do appreciate everyone so far. We have like Jack and NSU Gaming.
We got a lot of questions too.
and yeah, we still have a bunch more questions to get through on our Instagram. So hey.
Wait, Liv has a question here. It says best section to sit in for games. Mission, take that one away.
Section 203, baby. Right up at the top, upper level, almost middle. I'm just joking. That's my season.
It's the new courtside, they're saying.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen. I post on the story. Sometimes there's games that I like don't sell online on like a Ticketmaster, for example, or elsewhere, or like games that I don't go to. I put up on like the Instagram and stuff like that, and try to give everyone like, because it is annoying. Like Ticketmaster, they take service fees from like both myself and people buying it, so you can get it a lot cheaper like through myself. So I'm a little bit biased for section 203. But the nice thing about NBA, there really is not a lot of bad seats. It's not like the NFL where like you may be 300 feet away and can barely see the players on the field. Like NBA, there's really no bad seats. Like I'm a few rows from the back, but I can see just fine. But if you could ever get like a lower level seat in the middle, that's the best. We got a few questions here in the chat. Jack saying, I just hope during this off week from games, we put in the work and keep up the same pace for a matchup against Indiana. They're going to want revenge after our OT win against them on their turf. Yeah, absolutely. Like this break cannot come at a better time, right? Like Embiid just played Sunday. He's going to need the rest. Paul George needs the rest. Like he just missed a back-to-back just last week, right? Because he is coming off like an injury to his second injury of the season. And every other player too on this team needs a rest. Yeah, this 4-day break is huge for the Sixers. And yes, they will absolutely practice. They're not just going to be sitting home playing Call of Duty Black Ops. And maybe a little bit of that at night, or 2K, or NBA 2K. They'll just be playing that.
Yep.
But yeah, they'll certainly be practicing, healing up, getting all that therapy and everything like that. And yes, they will most certainly need to be ready for Indiana. They are at home, which is a good advantage there. They're a good team at home. But yes, Indiana, who has been struggling as a team, are definitely going to be coming into Philadelphia hot and ready to go. So the Sixers also need to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Got another question here. We're going to try to get to like every comment question here, because I really do appreciate you guys hopping in here on our first one here. We got Isaiah Brown saying, if we play like we did versus the Bulls, how far do you think we go? They played good. They played really good. They did let him in back into the game, like late third quarter, going into the fourth. They let him back into the game, but that's also just part of basketball, right? It's a game of runs. So, but they played really well. You'd hope that some players shoot a little bit more efficiently throughout the game. But hey, if Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid are healthy and they're playing well, you have a chance any single night. There's not a lot of teams in the NBA. It's not like the NFL where it's like, oh, okay,
right.
Like the Panthers are playing, like the Ravens, like it's a 14-point spread or something like that. Like there's a very slim chance that this team's winning. Any given night, any team can win. There's a reason why the Celtics, who are a super team, they're not going 82-0. Like that's just the nature of it, right? You're going to lose games. So yes, if we play like we did against the Bulls, we have a chance against a lot of teams. If we're healthy, which I'm put in the quotation marks because even if it beats out there, it may not be 100%. Come playoff time, like they can beat anyone on the court.
Yeah, and Isaiah, I saw you did comment as well the same thing on our Instagram, which we appreciate the question though. And just to add on that, yeah, Mitch is totally right. It's a star-driven sport. Out of all the sports, it is the most star-dominant, most star-focused. I mean, basically, not saying the Spurs are going to win the championship this year, but it alters the direction of your franchise with literally one player. Like Wembanyama is a generational talent that they have there, but they have one guy, and that changes the course. They're going to get free agents at some point. Mm-hmm. They're going to be a contending team for years to come because one dude they drafted that hit has an insane skill set, of course, like we've never seen. But that just shows you how the sport is. But
driven. There's only a few guys in the NFL like the Pat Mahomes of the NFL that you can connect that to the NBA.
They're gonna be good, man. They got it. The key word is health, and we've said it since Embiid has entered the league. The key word with him is always healthy because the team will go as far as Embiid takes them. If Embiid is not playing, I don't care if you have PG and Maxey out there, unless PG turns into prime PG and is putting up 35 points a night, Maxey's on the money, which is almost impossible without Embiid. They're not going to go anywhere. That's just how the team is, how it's constructed.
Yeah, NSU Gaming said Wells Fargo Center is amazing. The garage seats, perfect view for real. I assume you're talking about what's that one upper level?
Like, did you mean the garbage seats? I don't know. Like I meant like what's the garage? I don't know if you spelled.
I don't know if you meant like the seats like
the Revolutionary Row.
The Revolutionary Row, where it's kind of I don't know if he means that where it kind of feels like a garage, like you're sitting in your garage.
I think like the garbage seats. I wasn't sure if you spelled it right.
Oh, you might
does a garage.
You might be right. Yeah,
we're not sure.
You might be right though. Yeah,
either one.
Either or. Yeah, you're right. Like those are cool. I haven't been up. He's been up to Revolutionary Row. I know you said it feels like a living room, right? Like it seems like you're watching it at home.
It's up there. You do have to bring an oxygen tank though because it is so high up.
I feel like you're Denver.
Yeah. Well, Jokic did ball out.
What's up? What's up, Emmett? What are you guys thinking about potential trade targets? That's too early. I'd like to give you like some names on trades and who we're gonna get out and maybe the buyout market and stuff like that too. Way too early to tell. For that. I'm not that I'm here saying, hey, I think the Sixers are going to be like sellers versus buyers and like that. Like they'll most certainly be contending. Like they're not going to tank. I know people, including ourselves, we were kind of joking about the Cooper Flag stuff and all that. But they're most certainly contending. They're not trying to tank or to get a top draft pick. Their goal is to win the NBA Finals.
Right.
So
right.
Who knows who's going to be available at that point. But another thing too, like I'm not pressed on making a trade. One thing that I think has really hurt the 76ers the last few years is doing too much at the deadline or in the offseason, you name it. Like my example, I'll go right to the Celtics. Like and the Bucks. Like why have the Bucks and the Celtics been so successful outside of their star players? Is they have run back for the most part the same team every single year. There are certainly some changes, like the Boston Celtics pick up Porzingis and they picked up Derek White the one year, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been there the whole entire time, right? Like for the Bucks, Giannis, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, they've been there this whole entire time the last few years. I know they just picked up Dame, but like Dame's a guy that can fit on any team, right? So like he's going to be a star anytime. They've kept the same roster. You cannot say the same thing about the 76ers. Every single year they've had a different team. Even this year, brought in Paul George. Granted, Paul George is a great player, but they have a huge overhaul in the team.
Right.
And chemistry is a very underrated thing in the NBA. And I don't think it's important that if they're playing well on the team, you don't need to make a trade, right? Because you're bringing in a guy late in the season. You only have like 20 games after like the trade deadline,
right,
to really get it together, and then you're throwing into the playoffs like that. So I don't think it's imperative that they do make a trade.
It's a great point. I mean, chemistry is a huge thing in basketball. It's top of the priority chart. Same thing with health, but chemistry is massive. And I mean, the Sixers, like you said, they've gone through kind of their different eras with Embiid. They had the Embiid Simmons era there. They had the Embiid Simmons Butler era. They brought in Tobias. They went from Butler said peace, and then Simmons left, and then we got James Harden. Then we had Embiid with Harden. Harden's gone. Now we're looking at PG, and they made the right move. It's not like they didn't especially with the PG one, because they had a ton of money. They got by far the best free agent out there, and they're in win now mode. Like we said, there's a reason they signed Paul George. It wasn't to say, hey, let's be the 8 seed and lose in the first round. No, the reason you pay the guy $50 million is to come in here and take you past where you can't get, which is past the second round. That's why you make the trade. I mean, that's why they are where they are. So unfortunately, the Sixers, their start to the season, if you haven't watched a game and you just look at their record, you say this team's a total failure. They suck. And then if you watch the games and realize, okay, they've missed their best player for 95%, whatever, 90% of the season, whatever it is. They've missed him for the bulk of it. They're probably going to miss him throughout, later in the season, whatever it is. If they can just weather the storm, that's their whole goal here. They said it before the year started. That was the big outlook. Hey, we're going to monitor Embiid. We're going to baby him like you've never seen. He's not going to play back-to-backs. He's going to play limited minutes. And that's how it's gone so far. Exactly what they said they are doing. I promise you, if it's a playoff series, he's playing all 7 games. It just is, as long as his leg's not broken, right? I mean, he played with the Bell's palsy last year. He had so many injuries. So I remember his one press conference too, where they were talking about how he's like, I do so much for this fucking city. I battle through injuries, every playoffs. And he is right. He does get disrespected by the fans. And I don't blame him for all of it. I thought this year so far, it's been a little bit weak. And is he really injured? I don't blame him. He's 7 feet. He's big. The way he moves is very unnatural, especially at his size. I'm sure his knees are banged up. He looked decent yesterday. But the key is getting us from now, which is December 9th, to April when the playoffs start.
Long time away.
That's the key is, hey, in April, can Embiid be 90% or 95 instead of his usual 45 or 40 with one knee? That's the difference. They want that. We haven't seen that in years or ever.
Yeah, really. Yeah. No, and this is kind of a good time to bring this up. Yeah, Embiid was recently, it came out an article. He got asked about, kind of his health struggles and everything like that. Here's a quote from that article. And shout out to Jack for sending it. I did see it elsewhere, but shout out to Jack for sending it to me. He's quote, "There's no injury, just between the swelling. We've got to get it figured out. That's it. I've been saying it for the last few months. It's been extremely depressing. It's something that hasn't been figured out, and it's been extremely annoying because I would love to play every single game." So
yeah, I don't doubt his desire. I mean, I think as a competitor, I don't doubt his competitive nature. I mean, these guys are professionals. He does this for a living. I mean, right? You'd want him to play basketball. And I think he does. It's not the Simmons thing where it's like, oh, my back hurts. I'm going to miss 10 games, go shopping in Beverly Hills. See ya. Or play COD for the next 10 years. Like, Simmons is just a pussy. And I'm going to say that and be honest. He is. Embiid wants to play. You can tell he wants to be out there. He wants to be there for his team. He's just huge, and he has the worst injury luck of all time. He just does. It's up there with he's just never been successful and healthy in that right. And that's unfortunately the team around him typically falls off a total cliff when he's not out there. This year we thought it'd be different. Hey, you got Maxey. At least we have PG, right, who can kind of weather the storm. And that hasn't been the case because PG got injured. Max has been off to a slow start. So it's been the nightmare opposite scenario for the Sixers. But Embiid and his competitive nature, I don't doubt that one bit.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and someone that big, you're gonna have injury problems. And you're playing such a physical sport like basketball, where you got to run up and down the court every single time, every single possession, a bunch of times a game. So, like he said in his quote, it's not like, hey, I have a new injury. Like, this is just a lingering thing that has, and the swelling's going to come back. And it's not something that he'll maybe ever get back to 100%, which is unfortunate. Right. But it's something that you need to, not to quote you again, but weather the storm. You just need to get through it.
Yeah.
Get into the playoffs. Hopefully it's, like you said, 90, 95%. Doesn't need 100%, 90, 95%, which would be which is still a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA. Embiid doesn't need to be 100%. He just needs to be up there to compete there. And I know as a fact that he's pushing through that. And it's a little sad to hear that he said it's depressing. I don't doubt it. We're all Sixers fans here. I even saw one earlier today. I was scrolling through, I don't know how true this is, but it was a post. I think it was Sideline Sources posted about, it was an Adam Silver thing. Apparently they're looking at, did you see this? It was a FIBA. They're looking at talking with FIBA about doing some sort of expanding the international game where they're going to basically create a league similar to like maybe like a Turkey international league where it's more of like a Champions League because they're trying to broaden the game internationally. So they may be creating.
So have one overseas.
They may have like a
NBA
league overseas, almost like I don't know if it's going to be like a G League overseas or what it's going to be, because there's so many international players in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean,
but anyway, sorry, here real quick to get to my point though, why I'm bringing this up. I click on the post, and guess what the top comment is?
What? Something about Embiid.
It's like we have a FIBA league starting before Embiid reaches the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the top comment.
Yeah, the hate's bad. Hate's bad, but it's always been there.
So we're all Sixers fans. We've probably all seen it. It's always, he hasn't made the Eastern Conference Finals. The one I'm seeing a lot more of recently, and it's every single time anyone posts about Embiid outside of like a Sixers page, is how did this guy win MVP? How did this guy cry his way to the MVP and all this kind of stuff too? So I certainly think there's some things that are getting to him outside of just the game. And he has social media. I'm sure he sees it. So there's certainly a human aspect too to his injury and everything that's going on.
Yeah, but the one thing with Embiid too, and I mean, Emmett, you said it right there too. It's so sad seeing Embiid having struggle and all the hate he gets. I mean, it's exactly what we alluded to. But like Embiid has matured. Like if you remember Embiid when he was a rookie and even his first, second, third year, whatever, he's matured. Obviously, as a kid now, wife.
It's crazy how far. Like I remember,
he's changed.
I mean, he's not really much of a troll. He used to be Joel the troll Embiid. I mean, he called himself that. Like he was the ultimate troll. And I can get why some people and some fans and players hated him, but he's come a long way.
Yeah, and one could say winning would maybe bring him back to the, hey, you win a championship, because you can talk your shit when you're a champion. It's like, is Tatum corny? Sure, but guess what? Guess what? You get the ring. Yeah. So that's the difference. When you win, you can talk. So, Embiid hasn't been to that point yet, and I get it. I understand. And from the outside looking in, like people, he gets free throws, and I see that aspect. And listen, the game in general, you want it to be played at a fast pace and a fun pace where it's not, hey, he gets hacked. Now he's at the line for 2 free throws. He takes 10 steps, shoots it. Like it just takes forever. So I get that aspect, but that's on the refs and fans to hate on Embiid for just playing the sport. I'm sorry, he's just a total mismatch because there's no one else that's 7 foot with his skill set. I mean, I guess Wemby, but Wemby's still kind of a stick. Like Embiid can bully you and kind of do that inside game.
Which he was kind of a stick when he came to the league. He put in the work, put in a lot of muscle too. Granted, some fat too. Probably should have been a little slimmer for a lot more of his career.
Yeah.
But he certainly put in the work. I mean, this guy didn't start playing until he was 15. Didn't start playing basketball until he was like 15 years old, and then went to Kansas, and played a little bit, and then all of his injury history, and fell in the draft, luckily to the Sixers. So I mean, this is a guy that he didn't grow up playing basketball, didn't grow up in the United States. You could tell right early on. I mean, he's learned a lot of English too. Like English was not his first language, everything like that too. So he's come a long way. For that. We have one other one here. We have a Jack question. Sorry, it took a little bit for us to get to that. Since you brought up 2K, just thought of a fun question to ask. Take your time getting this one. Did you guys ever watch the 2K tournament during COVID? If yes, what did you think? I did not personally. We do play a lot of. We do play a lot of 2K. We have like a pro-am team that we play. We have like 8 or 9 of us that we kind of rotate and play 5s on 2K. He's a lot better than I am. We're both kind of shooters in this. In this one, we've changed it a few times. Like I was like a power forward in last year, and he's kind of always been kind of a shooter. He's like a 3-and-D guy now. So I didn't watch. Did you watch it? I didn't watch the 2K.
I haven't seen the 2K tournament. I mean, I've seen the 2K league before, and that I really watch it. But I've seen the 2K league. I'm not sure what the tournament is during COVID. That sounds cool though. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I know they're very active on social media, the 2K league, and yeah, I mean, I know they get drafted. I've seen their, the NBA like retweets. It's pretty intense. I've seen like the clips too. Dudes are yelling at each other like, "Fuck you!" No, it's crazy on the streets. It gets crazy, man.
Yeah. No, good question. What's up, Dilla Bay? Shout out to you guys. What do you guys think our record will be at the end of the season? No, good question. It's still early. They're 7-15 right now. I see them getting 35 to 40. I think 40 maybe a little bit of a stretch. I mean, you're 40. If you're 40 wins, you're 40 and 42, right? You're right. You're a little bit below 500. If they get in it, I think that'd be good. They're only 8 games below 500, but there's still going to be plenty of games that Embiid still misses.
Right.
Because if he doesn't play any back-to-backs, like he said, that's like he's going to miss another 10, 11 games this season. Who knows what happens with Paul George? Is he going to reactivate his knee? Who's going to, there's a lot of what ifs. But hey, you just got to get one of those top 10 seeds. Hopefully it's not the 10 seed because then you got to win 2 straight games on the road. Hopefully, it's like like the 7 or 8 seed, so you can lose, drop one of those games, something like that, or
Right.
potentially even the 6 seed. Um,
Yeah, I think the Sixers I think they get. That's a good call. I mean, I think they get close to 40, maybe slightly above. I'm optimistic. I like the
get
team and their
40 wins.
chances.
Which we if they get 40 wins, they unfortunately will not have.
They're not gonna pick.
They're not going to have their pick. There's the Thunder have the Sixers pick this year. It's top 6 protected, so that's why you saw a lot of people posting and talking about, hey, they can get Cooper Flag back when they were like 2-12, right, or 2-13. Because if they were like the worst team in the league, they would have like a guaranteed top 5 pick. If they were like the worst team in the league, and they could get like potentially a Cooper Flag, but they're not going to get one of those. So they're going to unfortunately lose their first round pick this season. But they do have some valuable ones coming up. They have the 2028 Clippers one, which like could be very valuable. Like Harden will be gone by then. Kawhi will be gone by then. Like they don't have a lot of future there. So they certainly have other draft picks too. But it's not like they're built to win now still. Like they don't need draft picks. It's still fun to look at and everything like that. Like I don't think you were expecting either for Jared McCain to be a contributor right away.
No.
Like I was expecting him to potentially even spend some time in the G League, just because I was like, this team's deep. This team's got a lot of good players.
Right,
like,
right.
Who knows? Maybe he ends up playing some games in the G League, or just like being like one of those, the guy that comes in at 2 minutes left in the game and just gets garbage time minutes. I was not expecting him to pop right in here and be a huge asset to the team.
Yeah, every NBA team has a timeline. Some are, like the Celtics are clearly, contending. Like there's teams that are contenders. There are teams that are on the rise. Like the Rockets are a young team. They're on the rise. The Spurs are not there yet. They're kind of close to on the rise, but they're not fully. They need another piece, but they're close. They have their core guy.
Wizards are contenders for the first pick.
Yeah, they're contenders for the first pick in the draft. So every team has a separate timeline. Like you have to look at it team by team, and that's how the NBA does it. The Sixers are going to be buyers at the deadline. They don't give a shit about their draft pick right now. At some point, we will, and once it hangs it up, because that's the franchise.
They may move Jared McCain, unfortunately. Like as much as we've gotten tied to him, and he's been great. Like I love him as a player.
But they're going to have to move him. Morey knows.
They may. Like depending on what the situation.
But it's got to be a valuable piece. It's got to be a valuable piece, though.
It's a business at the end of the day, and the business is to make money and win championships. And that may mean getting rid of some of those guys.
Can you believe too? I mean, man, McCain doesn't play how he has. I mean, do we have 7 wins? We might have. No. We might have 3, 4. Yeah. I mean, I just say that's where the draft pick.
McCain has very much been like the only bright spot this year.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's the only guy that's played well this year, but the only bright spot. Embiid with his injuries and not playing. Paul George out a lot. Maxi's underperformed by a lot. Kelly Oubre has underperformed. Caleb Martin has. I mean, so many underperformers this year has contributed to their bad start. Kyle Lowry underperformed. I mean, maybe KJ Martin is probably the only other player that's like overperformed so far. But like, that's not saying too much. Like, right? Like KJ Martin goes from like 5 points per game to 8. Like, great. But no one was expecting Jared McCain to. Which, if I look, at his stats right now, he's putting up 15.8, and a lot of those, and that's also skewed too because he's also at the beginning of the season wasn't playing a lot of minutes. So I would say it's closer to more like 20 in recent times,
Right. No, McCain has been the only one absolutely that has exceeded expectations for the Sixers team. He's been the lone bright spot, unfortunately. Maxi's just kind of been in a great game yesterday, had a triple-double, but he's been inconsistent. I mean, and that's one of those guys, I know he's coming off an injury, or actually, well, not anymore. He's kind of back now, but he was coming off an injury earlier in the season. But I mean, Maxi's got to be one of those dudes where there were people, and I wasn't one of them. I love Maxi. I think he's a great player. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to be a great player. It's one thing to be a superstar tier 1 dude like Embiid is. There is levels. Maxi's a really good player in this league. Can he carry a team by himself? No, I think you're seeing that this year. He is a phenomenal second or third option on a team. Phenomenal. He's top tier. Same thing with PJ at this stage in his career.
Also, sorry to interject. It's not like he can't get there. Like
he can develop.
We're not.
He's 23, 24.
Yeah, he's younger than us. We're not very old. Max is younger than us, and he's already up there. And you've seen how much he's improved too.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's saying you're not saying that he can get. He's there right. You're just saying he's not there right now. Can't get there.
I'm telling you what Maxi is now. The way he's developed over the past 3-4 seasons has been scary because he went from literally not being able to shoot a basketball into the hoop to being one of the best shooters in the NBA.
He wasn't a shooter at Kentucky
at all. He had a floater and he had crazy layups, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was going to be like and which is funny. I don't know why Fultz is the first thing that came to mind, which is like kind of funny because like Fultz did the opposite. Like Fultz could shoot the ball
and then
in
shoulder
college, and then shoulder happened.
done.
And he couldn't shoot the ball in
Yeah.
the NBA. And he became kind of like a smaller Ben Simmons. Like he was very athletic, could drive, could dunk, could pass the ball, which is what I thought Maxey would be. But he has turned it into. I mean, he had like top 5 best shooting year last year out of anyone in the NBA.
He was great.
He shot over 40% on a very high volume.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up Fultz real quick. It was just interesting. Came to my mind though. Like the really
sign Fultz.
Well, we talked about all the Sixers moves and hey,
sign
we went
Fultz,
through the
Carson
Harden.
Wentz.
You talk about the Sixers moves though, with the Harden era, the Butler, all those different eras that we've had, and really, it's a product of missing on draft picks, right? Like, think about it though. If Fultz lives up to potential, I know you thought about it.
I've thought about it many times.
Fultz lives up to potential. Simmons lives up to potential,
gets
right?
A shot, whatever.
Yeah. Even though, also, I want to address the question because it does fit though. Wait, what was this question here by? Was this Jack? Is there any organization that you either have hatred for or not a huge fan of? I don't want to say Simmons because at the time when Simmons was playing, I love Simmons. Like I thought when he was on the team right before the whole shit happened where he just basically missed the layup against Trey, or didn't even take the layup versus Trae Young, passed out to Misty Seibel.
Like, what would have happened? Whole
different.
Like if he just took that layup, like what would have happened?
Right, but he lost confidence. Like that's a dude that had it. He had the skill set. We saw. Look at his rookie year tape and and even his second or third year. He was all NBA defensive team. He was a top tier. He was 6'10", could move like no one.
Fun to watch him.
He could play make. Yes, he couldn't shoot. I know that. We all know that. But the skill set, it did matter a little bit because
people figured him out, right? They gave him that space.
They figured it out, but he didn't grow as a player. If he had the work ethic that Tyrese Maxey had, Ben Simmons had the potential. Like everyone was, it's the next LeBron, which I'm not saying he would be LeBron, but he had the potential to be one of those dudes where you turn on the NBA and he's one of the pictures on the billboard. It's like Simmons, it's all the other guys. You see KD, that he would have been one of those dudes, but it's not, unfortunately, because he just didn't give a shit and he lost confidence. And this is a tough city to play in because the fans care. This isn't Orlando. I'm sorry, I haven't even met Orlando, Matt. Do they exist? I think they're a good team. They got a great TikTok account, but has anyone met a Magic fan? Are they real? Anyway.
No, this was great. Yeah. We got Dilla Bay. Hot take. I want Simmons back on the Sixers or the bench with McCain.
No, man.
Man. Maybe it's Dalla. Maybe I'm sorry for pronouncing.
Is it Dula?
Dula?
I think it's Dula.
Dalla.
It's definitely not Dalla. It can't be Dame Dalla.
Dame Dalla. Is it like Dalla, like Dollar Bill? Dula. Dula.
It's probably Dula.
Dula.
Maybe like Abdullah, but like you took the AB out. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I do not know. I mean. Simmons.
You don't want Simmons now. No. We've seen Simmons now. You just look up Ben Simmons next time. They don't exist.
I'm not saying it. Yeah, there certainly are some former Sixers I would love back on the team, but he is not one of them.
Yeah, Mitch loves Mike Scott. He's got put Mike Scott.
Even if he was on a minimum, which he's not, Ben Simmons, I would not want him back here. It's like
Dula. Got it. Dula.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate you type it in there. Yeah, like it's like like back when like Carson Wentz. Was like a free. I don't know why I keep mentioning Carson Wentz, but like he's on a cheap contract right now. Like he's the backup in the Kansas City. Like you just don't. It's just bad mojo. Like it just creates unwarranted drama. Like you don't need that kind of stuff. And
you mentioned chemistry earlier.
Chemistry. And if there's a team that doesn't need drama, it's the Sixers. I mean, they've been just full of drama the last few years. Oh, is it Simmons or Embiid?
Drama.
Butler brought a lot of drama. Harden brought a lot of drama. Just a lot of big heads and a lot of big personalities that just didn't work together. Yeah. And having Simmons out there, who is a guy that plays, he still doesn't play. And then when he does play, he doesn't do like a whole lot or really care about playing. He really, at the end of the day, he doesn't like playing basketball. Like that's what it comes down to. He just had a very good talent, was very athletic, was gifted with a 6'10" body frame at that. And he got his contract and he dipped. Like he did not put in any. Yeah. He really did not put any work outside of his 30-second clip on in the summer on YouTube and on his Instagram to make that. Outside of that, he was playing.
And man, we kind of saw it coming. Look at LSU. I mean, he had a bad GPA. I know he was one and done. They said he was just not a great teammate, especially off the court. He didn't really give a shit. You can tell he didn't give a shit with his grades. He didn't give a shit with basketball, and that's where it got you. He played up until his contract.
He didn't want to play for Team Australia.
Right. Right. I mean, there was just you kind of saw it in the making.
I mean, it should have been something that they saw. But he was just So he had just had so much potential coming out of college and high school that like you couldn't pass up on it, right? Like there's things where you make exceptions for some of the character issues or some of maybe the stuff that you saw. So I don't completely blame him for taking Ben Simmons at that time,
Yeah.
but it certainly didn't work out.
Yeah, I see Jack. Good point here. Is there a question limit? No, I mean, ask away. We'll probably, probably end this towards an hour. We're at 44 minutes right now,
Yeah.
so
It's felt like 10 minutes. So I know.
yeah,
I
but
really
keep
do,
it going. I mean,
no,
seriously,
I really do appreciate everyone that's hopped in here.
yeah,
You know, Dula Bay and Jack and Emmett and the gaming account too, NSU Gaming. All of you guys that have hopped in here, Emmett, that have hopped in here, Isaiah Brown,
I live.
Olivia, all of you that have hopped in here and asked questions. Like, there's certainly never too many questions. And if we don't get to them during this, like, ask them away on our story, DMs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Again, we'll do more lives this week too. We'll probably do another 15 minutes here, and then wrap this up.
This is a good one. I mean, we can address former Sixers since we're talking about it. Do you think that Tobias made too much Dula, which is funny? Yeah, he made a lot of money when he had a contract with us. LOL. I mean, listen, we all know the Tobias story.
Yeah.
He was overpaid out. Now, once again, Elton Brand offered him the money. So if we're really mad at someone in terms of the monetary issue there, which of course he was overpaid, it's Elton Brand's fault. You're telling me if Elton Brand hands the contract, says, "Hey, we think you're great, sign this max contract," I'm signing it. We all are. So it's not Tobias's fault he took the money. It is his fault, however, he did not adjust his play style. He's a solid player in the NBA. He's he's a solid player. There's not much more. He's not great. He's not bad. He's somewhere in between. But Tobias never changed his play style. He played back to the basket, which, first of all, for his size, he's like 6'8", 6'9". It doesn't work. He's too slow to defend threes. He's not big enough to defend fours in the NBA. He's kind of just an in-betweener. He's a fine guy on a lower
he's
contract.
Not really meant for the modern NBA. Like, he's not a guy that's going to shoot 7, 8 threes a game.
Right.
He'll give you maybe 3 or 4, and he plays very, very slow. Which, like, add him in with Embiid, who also plays very slow. Like, it's not a good. You need some people around Embiid. You need a guy that's going to be a quick catch and shoot, which is why Jared McCain has been such a great fit. Is because he's that guy. He's a quick catch and shoot. He can also create himself, but he's Eddie Ramone's like he can get up a shot quickly and make it. Which Tobias Harris was not that guy. And there's certainly things that were outside of his fault, like having Tobias with Ben Simmons and Embiid. Like, that's just ugly right there. And like the time they had Al Horford and some other guys that just really couldn't shoot and really fit with the team. But overall, yes, it wasn't Tobias Harris' fault that he got that money. But it, like you said, like it is his fault that he didn't change his game. He didn't really improve.
And then the dude was here for 5 seasons.
And two, like locker room wise and everything like that. Like he shit on the fans a bunch. I mean, like Crumble Cookie and all this other stuff too. Like he did not like the fans, and we booed him. But like he didn't help it at all. He put a lot of fuel to the fire versus like kind of trying to put that stuff out and helping the team.
It was funny though. In terms of a locker room guy, he's talked about as one of the best locker room dudes in the NBA, like as a teammate. But off the court, especially with the fans, and he's one of those dudes. I mean, he played for the Bucks to start his career. He went to the Pistons, and the Bucks were shitty back in like. I mean, he's been in the league for a long time, Tobias. So he's a veteran. So he's been in the league for a while. The Bucks were shitty. The Pistons were bad. They're still not great, but they're getting better. The Clippers were kind of they were on the cusp, but they weren't great. They were kind of in between eras there. And then now he was on the Magic at some point. So he's been on a lot of shitty teams. You get to Philly, we've been itching. We're coming out of the process. We're waiting for the tides are turning. You get Jimmy Butler. You bring in Tobias. We're like, damn, we have this great team. And then a guy, you give him a max contract, and he just underperforms. And I think that's what all the fans were like, well, what the fuck did we pay for? Why do we have this max contract guy that's playing, like Yabusele out there? I mean, seriously, he's playing like Yabusele, and Yabusele's on a minimum. I mean, that's the difference right there. But it's not his fault in terms of the money. He didn't change his game, but that's on the Sixers. You can't offer that contract and stick with him.
It's pretty fit in Detroit. Like, there's no pressure on him.
Yeah,
nobody cares.
Yeah,
he sucks. He's still got a decent contract, which is ridiculous. I mean, there's just the money in NBA is crazy, just because there's so few players.
But that's the size, though. That's the size and still skill set. I know his skill set didn't translate here.
Yeah, if he was 6'2",
he wouldn't get that money.
He wouldn't get that.
But when you're 6'9" and you have some touch and you can shoot and defend a little bit, and you're somewhat, I don't even want to say athletic, but you can move enough. It's like, oh, he's a wing, because wings in the NBA, hey, it's the hardest thing to get. That's why I hate to go on a tangent here, but side thing with Maxey mentioning earlier about, hey, how he can't carry a team. That's part of it too. It's hard unless you're Steph Curry and have all world shooting to really build a team around a guard.
Yeah,
it's hard. The best players in the league are wings.
Yeah, I mean, Dame didn't win shit on the Trailblazers, and on the Bucks, he's not the best player on the Bucks. Giannis is. Steph Curry, he's done it, but he's had some other people there.
Yeah, a guy named Kevin Durant who's probably definitely a lock for Hall of Fame.
They won before Kevin Durant too. But yeah,
right. But
also Steph Curry is arguably like a top 5 player, like all time, top 10, all time. Like he's
the greatest shooter ever,
and the best shooter ever. Which unfortunately Maxey is not right now. So no, you're right. I mean that is like a good question, something to bring up. Like
it's the size, man.
Like Maxey, he's got the odds against him, like being the number 1, just because of everything you're seeing right now in the NBA. He's not an elite defender,
right?
And he doesn't have the size to make up for it.
But he's doing everything he can. I'll give him that. Work ethic wise, he's doing all of it. Favorite moment. Okay, this is Tobias. Favorite moment from him was his jump shot game winner against the Lakers in 2021-2022 season, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did have a game winner. Yeah, I forget exactly what season it was. Yeah. Was that in LA? It might have been in LA. Yeah. That sounds familiar. I don't remember his exact clip, but I feel like I know what you're referring to.
Give me back like the TJ McConnell game winner against the Knicks.
Man,
when Embiid like almost strangled
the good days when there was no pressure. We didn't care if we like made the playoffs or not. It was just we're happy to get into the games.
The process was fun. Like it was always a win-win. Either you lost,
right,
and you got a better pick, or you won. It's like fun. Like let's win.
Yeah.
It was certainly a fun time and everything like that.
Now it's pressure, and there's a timeline too. There's a timeline. Like it's like, hey,
the clock's ticking.
Every year we suck the playoffs and are actually the first round. Another year Embiid's older, more wear and tear on those legs.
Yeah,
that's the issue. McConnell went off. We play fantasy basketball in a league with our friends, and I have TJ McConnell. I picked him up on waivers.
Was it 30 in real life?
I think he had 30 in real life. Yeah, like 45 fantasy points, which
45 fantasy points
won me last week.
I mean, the guy can still bowl.
He can ball, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I would have liked him. He's out of our price range now, which is kind of crazy to think. Like, he just got what is that?
Yeah,
didn't he get like a 3-year, $45 million contract from Indiana?
We're all maxed out here. We have we're all. If you look at the cap table for the Sixers, it's Embiid. Actually, it might be PG. They're pretty close. PG, Maxey, or PG, Embiid, Maxey. Everyone else. Caleb Martin.
Caleb Martin's in there.
Everyone else. Yabuselli's on the floor. KJ Martin's on a different team.
Uber's making a few.
Yeah, Uber's making some, but like.
And then everybody else, got a bunch of guys on the minimum. Yabuselli, Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry's on the minimum. Ricky Council's on a very cheap deal. Reggie Jackson's on a minimum. And then you have a bunch of your like draft pick, the Jeff Doughtons and the Edwards and the Bonas and the Quinones. Quinones not even here anymore, but of the world.
You know what I think we can do is just to mention, I know you're going through the roster. We should do this. I want to kind of wrap this one up here in the next couple of minutes, but for the next stream, we'll probably go live later this week, at least 1 or 2 more times. We should rate, and let me know what you guys think of this because we want your input.
Like a quarter season report card sort of thing.
For each player. We'll go through each player. We'll talk about the report card, kind of give, hey, what they do well, what they do bad. We'll go player by player with the roster. And anything else that you guys have, hypotheticals, let's talk about it for the Sixers next one as well.
Yeah, there were certainly some questions too, like on our Instagram, that we like didn't get to. Is there any? We still have like 8 minutes left. Is there any more like?
Yeah, let's see if there's any others that we can address real quick.
Haven't talked. I know we've talked about like a bunch on this that we probably like.
I mean, we could do.
Have Patrick? Should we trade Yabu and get some return? Assuming he'll be gone next year. Yeah, unfortunately, like trading Yabu, like you need to like match contracts, right? So you need to add like KJ Martin in or someone else that makes a little bit of money.
And a pick probably if you want something.
Yeah, maybe like a pick to get something in return. At this point, I would not trade Yabu because I do not trust Drummond really. Embiid's hurt a bunch, and then like Adem Bona after that, can't trust him unfortunately because he's just too young, right? He's a rookie, so like I would personally not trade Yabu unless you're getting another pick. Back.
You want to do this one? This is good. This for the intro video. This is our first live.
You start as May. So, yeah, I mean, we can talk about this here. We probably talked about it before. Sixers Mania started back in 2016. He actually originally made it, and then he went on like a cruise, like I don't know, like three weeks into like after starting it, and on a cruise, you have to pay for the Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So he didn't have connection on the cruise.
It's true.
And I mean, we grew up together, so we were already good friends. And I offered to help take over for that week and everything like that. And we really started growing it and all that. We also had a buddy too. His name was Ian. He unfortunately passed away a few years ago from cancer. Who ran the account with us. And he was really good at making graphics and all that kind of stuff too. He made our logo. He made our original our logo right now is not our original logo.
Yeah.
We did change it. But he did a lot of our really cool graphics and everything like that. So it was Justin originally started it. I came along a few weeks in, and then when did Ian come in?
Yeah, I think maybe a week or two after you. It wasn't that long.
Shortly after Ian came into us. We had 3 for a while, and then RP. That's what we have in our bio, Team 213. If anyone doesn't know, we have Team 213 in our bio because that was Ian's favorite number.
Yep.
So that's in our bio. We don't really bring it up too much, mostly because it's more a little bit more personal and
it's a tough topic. Of course.
It's a tough topic to kind of talk about. But yes, he shout out to him. He did help us for a long time there. So that's how we when it all started and how it all started, everything like that. And
yeah, it's been 8 years, man. It's been 8 years. We just the YouTube. This is day we made it last week technically or whatever, but it's
Friday.
It's
day 3 or 4.
Day 3 or 4. we're just getting started with this, but it's been a long journey. We always get asked how do you grow and what are the keys to it? And honestly, I know everyone says it, but it really is just consistency and posting and staying with it. And we during the off season, I'm not gonna lie, it's really boring. There's not a lot of news. It can be tough. Now we're in the thick of it. I mean, you could come up with them in. I hate to see the team struggle, but the content is usually good. Either way, if they stink, there's a ton of stuff to talk about because everyone's fire this guy sucks, blah, blah, blah. So it's always just a shit show. But if they're good, you're on top, you're sitting, you talk about the standings, whatever it is, it's Feel Good Friday all the time. But it's a ton of fun running this account, guys. We really appreciate the input that you guys have had.
It would not be nearly as fun if we didn't have the great engagement and
this has been awesome, man.
For DMs, the questions that we get on every single post, the memes, the fun, the ups and the downs, right? We mentioned at the beginning of this stream. This is an unusual year right now for us, considering the success the Sixers have had in the regular season for the last year, not including playoffs, but the success they've had in the last few years and the expectations coming into the season. It's been kind of a weird year. But hey, you guys are still here. Philly's a very dedicated city in terms of sports, not just for the Sixers, but
all the teams,
the Eagles, the Phillies, the Flyers, and all of that. It really is the best sports town and city in America. And, we're just super happy and thrilled that, a lot of you, 30,000 of you, have picked us to be one of the pages that you follow and engage on. And it's been a blast. That's sweet. All right, real quick, if you could relive one Sixers game, either been to, actually, there was one, I forget the exact game. I don't know if you were there for it. It was back in our elementary school growing up. They would do Sixers spirit nights.
Okay.
Where I don't know if we had to pay for it or not, if it was just really cheap. And basically our school or our grade would go to the game once a year. I'm sure they have different spirited nights because I know like all the teams do. I know the Phillies did it. They have temple nights and University Temple. Right. Where they'll give cheap seats to students. And there was one year where we must have been behind the basket or something. I don't know if we were upper level or lower level. And they give you the clappers.
Oh yeah.
When there's free throws and all that. Yeah. And I swear we were on the Jumbotron 5 or 6 times.
That's pretty sad.
It's just in one game, which I don't think I've ever gone to the Jumbotron since then. But
they love showing the kids. They love showing the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a little younger at that time. So yeah, that was a fond memory.
Where's it going?
This kid caught a shirt recently.
I did catch a shirt recently.
Was that the Breakers game?
Yeah. We went to a preseason game in New Zealand. Because basically they were paying us to get in there. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm about, right? We're going to preseason games.
Come on, man.
I think it was quiet.
Come on.
That was a pickup game.
You hear a pin drop in there. Damn. We'll address that for me. I would say best game I've been to. I was at the game. It was Embiid versus Jokic.
Was that when he put up 47-18? Oh,
He
wow,
put up
that's a good game.
47-18. I sat in Revolutionary Row. That was the one time I was there, all the way up. Our friend Sam, who actually works for Clutch Points, probably have heard of him. He writes articles there. He reports. He's the beat reporter for the Sixers Clutch Points. He had extra tickets. He was like, "Oh, you want to go?" He's like, "My family's going." Blah blah. I was like, "Sure, I'll go." So I went to the Sixers game. It's like him, his family, and one of our other friends was there. So I sat up there, and it would have been nice, like if I could put myself anywhere, it would be awesome to be courtside and like watch that, watch the battle of the bigs go at it. But I remember right after the game, someone said in our group chat, a YouTube video from ESPN, it said "Battle of the Bigs," and Jokic had 20 points, 23 or something, and Embiid had 47. So it was one of those a classic.
Everyone's always like, oh, and because Embiid doesn't play in Denver just because of the altitude and all that kind of stuff. And it's always like, oh, Embiid's dodging Jokic. Like Embiid is not afraid of Jokic. Jokic is a one-way player. He doesn't play defense.
He doesn't play defense.
He's like a taller Jokic. He's a taller Luka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like, he just put up 30, 10, and 15. He's the greatest player of all time. But, do you play defense?
No.
Do you play half the game?
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah.
So,
listen, we respect Jokic. We know how great he is, but I think the hype, man, it's tough. It's tough seeing. The problem is when we look at Jokic, it's never through a clear lens. Like, hey, this guy's just a great player, right? It's like, well,
he's always going to be.
It's always compared to Embiid, and we see the difference in hate between Embiid and Jokic. Like, just check the comments. Damn, if he's not winning his third MVP, then what are we doing? Versus Embiid, it's like, oh, nice play, but how about 15 free throws?
He cried to get his first MVP.
Right? It's like it's always so the narrative.
He put up like 35 points per game.
But you know, as Phillies fans, like we just, you know what, we're used to it. No one likes us. We don't care. It's been around forever. But man, this has been a good stream. We're over an hour. First stream, boys. First stream.
Let's go.
Hey, well, we're gonna remember this one though. But like we said, I mean, we don't have a set date yet. Check our Instagram for updates. We will definitely post on our story at least a few hours before we go live. We'll probably schedule it again the same way we did for this as well.
It probably won't be tomorrow unless there's news that drops, right? Like there could certainly be some news that drops.
Oh, Sixers Yabusele trade.
Because this will be more than just live streams, right? Like we'll do like shorter videos that aren't live, maybe talking about Tyrese Maxey dunked on Embiid in practice or something like that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Or Embiid shot like a full court shot. So there should be other clips that we'll talk about and everything like that.
Yeah.
Outside of just this, but more than likely our next live stream will be Wednesday or Thursday. We'll announce it. I'm not sure where we're at right now in terms of subscribers. I think before this we were around 40. So we're almost halfway to 100. Our first 100 subscribers, which we'll give away $25 every 100. So we're gonna give away $250 by the time we get to 1,000, and then we'll go from there, right? We'll probably do other stuff. We may even do jersey giveaway or a ticket giveaway. I've seen tickets. Maybe they'll give away a game soon, even before we get to 1,000, right? But if you subscribe now, in the first 100, you'll have 10 chances, right? Every single 100, you'll still be in the same drawing for that, $25 too. What's up, Mugga man? What's up, man? Appreciate you hopping in here. I don't know if you've been here for a little bit or just hopped in. We are wrapping this up though. We're a little bit past an hour here. Talked about a lot. I'm pretty sure these automatically save afterwards. Again, we're figuring this out
as we go, man.
As we go. We're not YouTube experts. We know. Yes, we're a lot better at Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So you should be able to rewatch some of it. We talked about a lot of stuff, answered a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Best Sixers fan, appreciate you, man. We try our best. There's a lot. There's a lot that are better than us, honestly.
Yeah. We can talk, but we don't have the edits.
We pride ourselves on the connection, the engagement.
We're authentic, man. We're authentic.
Giving it to you how we see it. But there's a lot of really good Sixers channels out there, so I appreciate the kind words with that. That really does mean a lot. But yes, we will be going live at least once more this week. Potentially something on Friday, depending on our schedules. Maybe before the game, potentially during the game. We'd like to do a lot of games live, right? Where we can commentate and hang with you guys during games and kind of get that live reaction, all that stuff. That would be a lot of fun. So we'll certainly do that. And some other things. So cool.
Awesome,
hope everyone has a good. Thanks for joining us on this Monday evening. You're almost through Monday. then hey, Monday's the worst day. So I appreciate you guys joining us on this day. We got Monday Night Football starting in just a moment. Bengals, Cowboys.
Oh, my snooze fest.
Go Bengals in that one. I'm not sure what teams you guys root for in the NFL, but we're Eagles fans here, Phillies fans, all Philly sports here. Not so much Flyers, but hey, still fans of the team.
Support them. Yeah.
Still support them.
Yep.
So go Bengals in that one, and we will see all of you later.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone. Appreciate you all.